Before I get right into it, let me explain to you how this leaked outline does seem to be legit. Way back in August of last year, I received an email of a fan claiming that he has the outline of each episode of the final season. Upon reading it, I thought it was quite on point, but the main reason I did not share it before is due to the fact that at that particular time there have been numerous fake outlines circulating the internet, so I thought this was just yet another fake one. Here's why this outline that was sent to me might be the actual outline of the final season. As I already said, and as you can see by yourself, I received this outline way back in August of last year. That's a couple of months before Game of Thrones started filming its final season, that's a couple of months before any leaked photo was taken, and yet this outline matches perfectly with all the leaks and leaked photos that followed. I've already shared outlines for the first 5 episodes of the final season, so if you haven't seen them yet, make sure to do so and then come back to watch this video. That way you're caught up with everything that has already happened. In this video I'm bringing you the outline of the final episode of the Game of Thrones series. Before I start, let me warn you once again that this leaked outline does seem to be legit, so if you don't want anything to be potentially spoiled, it's time for you to close this video. Okay, the outline claims that the episode opens up with a shot of Sansa's corpse hanging from the walls of King's Landing. The battle for King's Landing rages as the Night King continues burning down much of the capital. I gotta stop right there to say that this opening shot of the final episode will surely leave huge amount of us in shock, but it's safe to say that the show decided to include this scene so we would be reminded that Queen Cersei is evil and has to be killed. Cersei killing Sansa has been foreshadowed multiple times, and I provided you all the hints and clues in previous video when she gets killed. However, Sansa's corpse being hanged from the walls of King's Landing might have been foreshadowed as well. Back in season 7 episode 3, Jaime revealed to Olenna what ideas Cersei had regarding her death, and one included Olenna being killed and hanged from the walls of King's Landing. It says that battle for the capital rages as the Night King continues burning down much of the capital with his undead dragon. In the previous episode, the Night King started burning down King's Landing, including King's Landing Dome, which by the way has been confirmed by many leaked photos. Back to the outline, it says that Bran is having visions of past and future events. The first vision includes Dany walking through the ruins of the Red Keep, entering the Great Hall and seeing the Iron Throne covered by snow. The next vision includes Brandon and Rickard Stark being executed by the Mad King. We then see a vision of Dany walking through fire, followed by a vision in which Jon's hand is being burned. Bran's vision already played a huge role in the first 5 episodes of the final season, and it only makes sense for his visions to keep playing its role until the bitter end. We can only hope that Bran will be a bit better at reading them. So far, Bran's visions helped us realize that Gendry is Cersei's son. It helped the living side locate the Night King. It showed Bran that Winterfell would be burned down, which it did, in a huge battle against the Army of the Dead. It even might have revealed us the Night King's intentions and motivations, which we will learn in episode 4, and if I'd have to guess, we'll learn of it through Bran and his visions. As much as Bran's visions have been useful for the living side, and as much as it gave us, the fans, clues and hints regarding the upcoming events, it can also backfire on the living side pretty badly if the visions are interpreted wrong. The best example would be a vision in which Bran saw Euron, the Lannisters and the Golden Company sailing north, which accompanied with information of Cersei sending help, made Bran conclude that Euron is coming to the North Side while he had actually come to kill all of them. It resulted with Jon being captured and escorted to Cersei. Make no mistake, these visions most certainly hold some huge clues regarding the Great War and its end, so if you'd like, take a moment to think about these visions and you might figure out what it foreshadows. The one in which Bran sees Brandon and Rickard Stark being executed by the Mad King has actually already been filmed and was meant to be used as a flashback in season 1, but it never aired, so the possibility of it appearing now is very high. Anyways, back to the outline, it states that Jaime and the Hound entered the Red Keep dungeons. They kill a few guards and set Jon Snow free. Jaime tells Jon to go out and help his people. Jon picks his sword Longclaw, Jaime gives Jon a Valyrian steel dagger and says, "Go on, Prince, help your people win this war." Jaime's died in episode 5 while protecting Arya Stark, and as I said in the end of the last video, Jaime has certainly not been resurrected or anything like that. The Jaime we see at the end of episode 5 is not Jaime, it's Arya Stark wearing Jaime's face and her own sword needle. Additionally, it's mentioned that the Hound wields Widow's Veil, Jaime's Valyrian steel sword, meaning that upon Jaime's death he picked up his sword and is now heading with Arya to put an end to Cersei and his brother the Mountain. This is Arya wearing Jaime's face and wielding her own sword, finding her way into the Red Keep as she announced she would. They set Jon free and Jaime, who is actually Arya, gives him her Valyrian steel dagger. Why didn't Arya take off Jaime's face and say Jon that it's her? Well, that's because Jon would not let her go and try to kill the Mad Queen in her own home. Well, of course, it's also because of the intensity of a scene, as most fans still will not realize it's Arya Stark and not Jaime. The reason Arya refers to Jon as a prince is because at the end of the 3rd episode after Jon was captured, Sam told the Azor High prophecy and Bran revealed to everyone Jon's true lineage, which led the living to proclaim Jon the prince that was promised, a hero that is prophesied to save them all from the long night. Anyways, the next scene is at Dragonstone. Dany commands Maester Walken Sam, Joram and Sandy to take care of her twins. She says, "If I don't come back, take care of my twins," as she prepares to depart for King's Landing. Sam and Maester Walken insist that she should rest as her childbirth has been complicated and her health has not fully recovered yet. Jorah says, "Khaleesi, your children need you," on which Dany responds with, "If I stay here, Drogon stays here too. The war would be lost. All of us would die, including my children. I have to go and help my people win this war." Jorah insists that she must bring him with her as well since he is an experienced leader and warrior and wields Heartsbane. Dany allows Jorah to accompany her. Dany flies Drogon to the capital. The final episode of Game of Thrones without Dany and Drogon facing the Night King and the Undead Dragon Viserion would not be the epic finale we've all been expecting. One can only hope that Dany's health has recovered enough for her to use Drogon as best as she can since back in the last episode she could not even sit. But that was before Maester Walken and Sam helped her in childbirth that resulted in the twins and everyone's survival, or at least thus far. The outline continues by stating that the next shot is in the Red Keep, the Great Hall. We see Cersei on the Iron Throne. The mountain stands just beside her. The rest of the Queen's Guard is a bit further. Qyburn and the Pyromancer have a meeting with the Queen. Cersei says the time has come. Initiate wildfire attack across the city. Most of the Queen's Guard is in shock. The Pyromancer nods. Qyburn asks, "Are you certain, Your Grace?" "I am. Do as commanded." Cersei responds. Qyburn nods. The Pyromancer and Qyburn exit the throne room. As they are leaving, we hear Cersei laughing. We also hear a sword slash. Jaime enters the Great Hall. Cersei is in shock and says, "Jaime, I've heard you died protecting the Stark b***." "Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. You'll still die one way or another. What are you doing here?" The Hound follows Jaime and enters the Great Hall as well, cleaning his bloody sword with a sleeve. Cersei then notices Jaime and the Hound's bloody swords. Cersei realizes that they have killed Pyromancer and Qyburn. Jaime doesn't say a word, he smiles. Clegane brothers are having an eye contact. "Kill them. Kill them," Cersei commands to her Queen's Guard. 6 members of the Queen's Guard attack Jaime. The Hound helps Jaime kill 2 members of the Queen's Guard before he starts fighting his brother, the Mountain. Jaime kills the remaining 4 knights. The Hound kills the Mountain but is gravely wounded in the process. Jaime approaches Cersei, raises his hand to his face. The shot goes behind the Iron Throne, and when we see Jaime again, he's no longer Jaime. It's Arya Stark. Cersei's in shock. Cersei stands up, walks a few steps down the Iron Throne and says, No, you will all burn," and laughs. "You will all burn, you will all die." Cersei continues, laugh intensifies. Cersei then turns her back to Arya and starts walking back to the Iron Throne. The shot focuses on Cersei's face. The blood starts coming out of Cersei's mouth. Arya stabs Cersei in the back. Cersei makes one more step towards the throne but then collapses. Cersei reaches her hand towards the Iron Throne. Arya gets in her way. The Starks and the Targaryens send their regards. Arya says and slits Cersei's throat. I did not want to interrupt this part of the outline because it's just beautiful. We see Cersei, who has now become the Mad Queen by all means. The Hound and Arya save the city and its 1 million people by stopping the Pyromancer and Qyburn to initiate the wildfire attack. We then witness an epic fight and much awaited Clegane Ball. Arya takes out most of the Queen's Guard single-handedly while Stanor finally has revenge over his brother, the Mountain. Let's hope his wounds are not that serious and he actually survives. And then the best part. Arya Stark takes off Jaime's face and avenges her sister, her family. Arya stabs Cersei in the back and then slits her throat, the same way Jaime killed the Mad King, but before she does so, she says, "The Starks and the Targaryens send their regards." Absolutely beautiful. That's what I have to say about this part of the outline. The showrunners could not do it any better in my opinion. Okay, back to the outline. It says that we see a bird's eye shot of a huge battle for King's Landing. The army of the dead fights the living on the streets of the capital. The living seem to be scattered without the true leader to lead them. The small amount of the Golden Company that survived the fall of the King's Landing also retreats. Tyrion tries to rally the Lannister soldiers but without much success as most of them are scattered, fighting the Whites across the whole city. The remaining Dothraki and the Northerners are scattered as well. Admiral Tully has most of the Tully Frey army rallied, but they suffer huge casualties as the Whites keep devastating their formations. Theon manages to rally his Ironborn forces, directing them to use fire arrows against the Whites. Grey Worm is the only commander who has his forces under control. The Unsullied fight in a large unit phalanx formations with a dragon-glass tipped spears. This huge battle has been confirmed as well, with reports of 600 extras filming a huge battle sequence at King's Landing set. Anyways, the outline then states that Jon Snow then finally joins the battle for King's Landing. He starts fighting the army of the dead. Arya Stark joins the battle as well. Tyrion, Gendry, Grey Worm and Theon see Jon and start commanding their men to rally to Jon. Theon shouts to the king, to the king. Jon Snow rallies most of the living side and leads them into the fight. Jon charges first with Gendry, Arya, Brienne and Bran and Theon following closely. Tyrion commands men to start firing fireballs using trebuchets on the army of the dead. This part has also been confirmed by many leaked photos from Season 8 set in which we can see trebuchets. We also have a video from the King's Landing set in which the trebuchet is being tested. Okay guys, this would be the first half of the final episode. The other half is currently in the process and will be published as soon as possible. The first part included many major events such as Arya and the Hound saving the entire living side from wildfire, Cersei's death, the Clegane Ball and a huge battle between the living and the dead that still rages. However, the second part is by far more intense and shocking. Without giving much away, let me just say that we'll see a huge fight between the living and the dead, between the dragons and between Jon Snow and the Night King. Who will win the Great War? Who will die? Who will sit on the Iron Throne? It's all there. Most of the other half has also been confirmed by many Season 8 filming leaks.